Show.
It is the FUD and FOMO show. Once again, I've been taken by surprise by that vibesy intro. I like that.
Good mood, man. It's good mood for this Friday, man.
It does put you in a good mood. I will say that.
Yeah.
We like it. Welcome everyone to another edition of FUD and FOMO. We're doing these every 2 weeks at the moment, but we might even start doing them more regularly if you folks enjoy them. And the purpose of this is as a little bit of a counterweight to our Monday live streams that Nick and I do, where we discuss the news in crypto. This is meant to be a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more laid back, more of a sort of chat between crypto-obsessed friends, really. So I am joined by Nick. Hello, Nick. Good to see you.
Hey, guys. Good to see you.
From your viewing platform in the sky, you've got a red light on today, so I'm sure nothing to worry about there.
Yeah. Red light, green light. Let's go. Change it maybe to green.
And
I feel like it should be green with the gaps getting filled.
Yeah,
that is true. That is true. Maybe I should change it to green. I'll change it to green then.
Lewis, meanwhile, is joining us from the jungle. Lewis, good to see you.
Yes, of course. I had to escape the city and go to the jungle because I couldn't afford my apartment anymore. So, I'm living out here.
Bear market vibes. That's where we're at right now. Soon we'll all be just broadcasting from our sort of outdoor shelters. All that we can afford. So good to see you, chaps, and thank you everyone who's joining. So please do let us know in the comments where you're joining from. Drop any questions that you might have for Nick, Lewis, and myself as well. We'll endeavour to answer some of them either as we go along or towards the end of it. We will. We're going to discuss. We're going to look back briefly over the week and ask why we aren't back above 90k and heading back to 100k, because I for one want to know why. And then we're going to discuss Davos. I don't know if those of you watching have been aware, but there's been a little bit of an event going on in Switzerland at the moment, where one or two of the world's more influential people have gathered to sort of dump their brains on everyone else. So basically, our lizard elite have been meeting and plotting out our future, the future of the world for all of us. So it's about time we should really be paying attention to what they're saying, I guess.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. Bags will go to zero. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy, whilst the world leaders, gallivant around the small Swiss town and decide on how they're going to spend our future, our future pensions.
There we are. So we'll be looking at what's been happening in Davos, and particularly what's been happening in Davos relative to crypto as well, because there have been some crypto-related headlines and a few crypto personalities out there strutting their stuff on the world stage. But let's start by having a look back at what's been going on this week. Nick, are you going to take us through this?
Yeah, so I mean, mostly in terms of price action, it's pretty crazy because Bitcoin fell below. Well, Bitcoin. I'll bring up the chart now, so you guys can kind of see it. But Bitcoin fell below. It was on the weekend. We had 93k prior to the stream. If you guys were watching the stream the other day, I'm just going to add my screen to the one sec, to the stream as well. You do this. Share screen. 1 second.
Good to see we've got all the supporting materials nicely teed up.
Nice. I mean, to be fair, I'm trying to be very careful around the kind of what I share, because I got multiple.
Making sure you don't share the wrong tabs.
I don't want to share the wrong screen.
First bit, is he talking about a seed phrase, or is he talking about
close down tabs you don't accidentally want to share?
There we go. Add the stage. There we go. Okay, yeah. So crazy. Like, what I find crazy about this is the fact that, so on the weekend we had the Greenland tariff kerfuffle that Bitcoin didn't react initially, but then in early Asian hour morning, in the morning of Asian hours, it dumped by as we can see there, from 95.6 and just kept on falling all the way. We went down to 87k, and we did close a CME gap, which was one of those we had, I think, opened up from January, which is which was down there, and we closed that. So that is good news that we closed that gap. But I think what I find frustrating is the fact that, going back to that other chart, that we were able to, we've now gone down, closed the gap. We're now back at 89K. So we're down about, say, 7 point something percent. The tariffs have been reversed. So some people would say it's taco. So other people would say it was a stroke of master genius. And, but the point of the matter is we're still down 7%. And why? I don't know, given that the tariffs have now been taken off. So whoever sold out on Monday has not bought back.
Can you go back to the chart you were on right before this with the actual gaps in it?
Yeah.
So is that a gap up in 93K, 92,800?
Yeah, there's a gap. Sorry, I didn't fill that one up. That one's also filled. So that one was at 90 over here. That gap.
No, on the right side now, on the going down at 92,800.
Where? Sorry.
Up. A
little
bit
there.
up. No.
There.
I'm talking about that one right there. Yeah.
That was a midweek gap. So potentially that means if we're going to go back and fill that one, that would be good to have a gap to the upside finally for once. But I do think we also got a gap lower at like 77K or so. Not on this chart here, but there is lower gaps. There are lower gaps. But I think that the CME gaps.
I mean, isn't there a lower gap at like 14,000 or something?
Yeah.
No, what was the meme? It was like a 6,000.
It's not in the room. We don't have to talk about that one. Never again. But I mean, look, CME gaps are not going to be a thing of the past when you come forward with new 24/7 trading at the CME for assets like Bitcoin. So, but they're useful to the extent they psychologically traders do target them. How much of that is actually the traders themselves targeting it or the market makers pushing prices there because they know traders target it? It's not really clear, but it's so far CME gap watching and trading has been quite effective. So we took at least 3 weeks to go and close this gap, but we have closed it. But now what is the frustrating thing is, the fact that we stuck here below 90K, and on the daily, I think that is. I mean, we on the daily chart we've broken below key levels again, and we're very close to, I think 87K is the yearly open. So we're very close, and we actually did during the week. We did go below the yearly open. So there was a time, I think, on Wednesday where we'd given up all the gains for the year so far.
Love it.
Typical crypto.
Love it. What a world we're living in. Well, I mean, everyone's buying gold, aren't they? Everyone's selling. The people who have been selling out of Bitcoin have been moving into gold. I see gold is about $55 away from the 5K mark.
Yeah, there we go. So basically the Bitcoin to gold ratio is at the lowest level it's been since November of 2023. And gold is also it's also fallen at least a few weeks ago below, obviously, the 200-week moving average. So momentum is on the side of gold right now, and I think that it's likely to continue outperforming Bitcoin. And I said this in the stream on Monday. I said that I think gold is going to continue outperforming this week. And I did a podcast episode with Charles Edwards from Capriole yesterday or 2 days ago. And he also said that, gold's got the momentum behind it. And it's just this completely different buyer set that's buying gold right now. So it's difficult to watch this as a crypto holder.
It should have been Bitcoin. It should have been Bitcoin.
It's the digital gold, man. What's up with this? Why are we going for the analog form? Really?
I know. What is all these? Because it's the boomers, all these oldies, these old timers that haven't caught up with the time. Clearly, they don't understand what the future holds. Maybe we just need to be multi-planetary so that we could actually use like Bitcoin across the planets, and then people will finally understand that it's better than gold. But this chart actually, you know what? I actually took this chart and I put it into my list of charts that I'm going to be watching like every single Monday. I like to look at all the charts, right, for the technical analysis part of the show. And I'm going to start adding this and just going over this, because if you look at the the most recent like top, like actual big top, I guess if you zoom in, that would be, where would that be? That would be like around $36, 35, 36. Sorry, I meant like all the way up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
an image. I got to pull up a different chart.
No, it's on the chart, but it's like right before the huge move down. There was a candle, that candle right there. I look for these type of candles to mark tops and bottoms, and it's crazy how this specific candle, which is like the most significant candle that can happen, that is like the most clear-cut case possible, happened right there. Because if I would have like seen that, I would have honestly put all of my Bitcoin into gold like right at that time, because that is the most clear-cut technical analysis of like, okay, this chart is about to go down, and this is the, you know, Bitcoin against gold chart, right? So it's like, that would have been such a clear indication. So I'm going to add this to my list, and hopefully we could get the inverse of that at the bottom, with a really long wick down and a close, you know, up high, basically a hammer candle, right, at the bottom on the weekly chart. And that might be when we'll know, okay, hey, look, now it might be time to rotate from gold back into Bitcoin.
So technically, why does a hammer candle like that, you know, specifically in this case, on the way, a green hammer candle on, you know, with a low body and a high wick, why would that signify that things are going much lower from a technical perspective?
Well, every single candle is literally a battle between the bulls and the bears, right? So if you look at the candle, you'll see, okay, it started here, like it, you know, wherever it starts, and then what happened is the bulls came in and they were pushing the price up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And at one point of the day, the bulls, or of the week, the bulls were in total control, and they pushed it so high up. But before the week ended, the bears came in and just completely pushed it down and just showed their complete and utter dominance, because the bulls could never get it back up. The bears just kept on stomping on it. And then eventually it ended up closing pretty close to where it opened, right? That's where the body is. So that is showing you, hey, look, the bulls, they tried, but the bears came in and they just dominated, and they pushed it all the way back down. So it's a very clear indication that the bears are in control, and that people, you know, are selling, or, you know, people are getting out of that particular asset, whatever the chart is, you know, that you're looking at. But that's what it shows. It just shows bears are in total control and very dominant. So I always look for those type of candles after, particularly though, also after a big uptrend. And you could see that happened after, you know, a big move up. It had a few moves up, and then that happened. If that type of thing happens like at the bottom of a bottom trend of after a big move down, you can't really depend on it as much. But if it happens like where it happened, you know, and also, I mean, look at where it happened also, like to the left of that, before the other big move down. Like there is like to the left. Yeah, right there. Boom. That's the same exact thing, isn't it? It is a huge shooting star candle, and then the price tanked down. So if you look for those things, especially on the weekly chart, on a weekly is a higher time frame, so it's usually more significant. It usually gives you a pretty big indication of what's to come, and then you could hedge and you could manage your risk and stuff like that. Thank you for showing me this chart, and now I will add it to my
epic, bro. So that's going to be in your go-to chart on the tabs, the weekly Bitcoin versus gold charts.
Yeah, weekly Bitcoin versus gold chart is going to be one, because I think a lot of people are going, compare it. They compare it, right? Like Bitcoin to gold, like it's always a comparison. And a lot of crypto bros are now into metals, I mean, even me, like I've basically all in like uranium at this point,
all in uranium. I saw Ben Kahn
wild
put out a
everything.
tweet. He put out a tweet earlier today. There was someone who commented on one of his videos, and I believe I may be paraphrasing, but it's like, "Thank you so much, Ben, because I was watching your videos last year, December, and I decided to sell out of all of my alts and buying uranium and silver." Like,
Brilliant.
I mean, okay, man, fair point. Who knows? Altcoin hunters and altcoin gem hunters are now going and buying physical metals.
I know, to
uranium,
go from
so.
Troll and Uranus and what were some other ones? To go from Harry Potter, Obama Sonic, Inu 12 to uranium and silver and copper. Well, that's a jump, you know. That is a jump.
Hey man, there's a bull market everywhere. There's always a bull market somewhere, bro.
yeah, exactly. That's what I talked about on the live stream on the Coin Bureau trading channel the other day. Was like, look, if it's a bear market and it's really hard to trade, which is obviously like that crypto is really hard to trade right now. It's like hard to make money. Just there are other markets out there that are doing very well. Like you can, you know, go there. You don't have to be so dogmatic and just be like, no, crypto only. Like, you know, you could do that and then just come back. You know.
I hear there's a strong market in coal futures, guys. So if you want to
coal, okay,
want to diversify into coal futures, copper, maybe a bit of nickel here or there.
We are going to have to rename ourselves the Metals Bureau. Yeah, well, what with tokenization happening, you know, what with RWAs and stuff, it's going to be easier and easier for crypto bros to rotate out of altcoins, out of BTC and into metals, isn't it? So
that's
a lot of
these
perp platforms are already offering it.
Did
you see what happened with Ondo this week?
No.
Yes, I saw. It's something to do with what did they tokenize again? They tokenized someone's shares, right?
They tokenized 150 assets now on Solana.
Oh,
wow,
interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna be checking out, figuring out how to do it, because I still have, you know, the Phantom wallet and all these wallets, right? So if you could do it, you know, on there, more power, you know, to the crypto.
There's also Superstate, which is the tokenization platform. It also issues on Solana. They raised over like at a 1.5 or something $1 billion valuation, like 78 million or something dollars. So yeah, the tokenization wave is coming, and it was actually talked about at Davos, which we can move onto as our next subject. But before we do, just a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey, I want to give a big shout out to the sponsors of this live stream, Binance. Now, if you need an exchange that has loads of trading pairs, loads of liquidity, and a fantastic interface to boot, then Binance is the place to go. And if you sign up using this QR code, you're not only eligible for up to $600 in sign-up bonuses, but you'll also get a 20% trading fee discount for life. Yes, that is for life. So a big thanks to Binance for sponsoring this stream. And speaking of which, let's get back to it.
Seamless. Beautifully done. Thank you, Guy. Yes, I want to come. We're going to move on and talk about Davos, but remind me, there's a couple of questions in the comments that I want to come back to regarding what we've just been talking about. But we should talk about Davos a bit as well. So, the Davos conference. This is obviously the gathering for the World Economic Forum, and there's been some interesting takes over the last couple of days. Obviously, in light of all the geopolitical uncertainty that's around at the moment, what with Trump sort of making eyes at Greenland and Europe and various other sort of NATO countries, I guess, kind of freaking out a bit, and everyone just there's a lot of uncertainty around at the moment, which can't really be helping markets, although it doesn't seem to be affecting. It's mostly crypto.
Anything else except for crypto.
Everything else is doing fine. Defense stocks are doing wonderfully.
Recovered,
uranium.
Yeah.
So what's been happening at Davos? I mean, I want to pick out a couple of things here. We'll start with sort of non-crypto ones. Let me just bring this up because Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister, he had an interesting take or two. Let me see if I can bring this up.
Sort of a baller. Not gonna lie, like he's pretty based.
Yeah,
he is based, bro. He basically stole the show. I think that the biggest, most egregious mistake he made was stealing the show before Trump came to do his speech with the new global order.
I mean,
so this
I
is
don't
the
really follow this, but
this is the Wall Street Journal. Mark Carney apparently. Nick, you were saying he wrote this speech entirely himself. I really like this quote that he said here. The middle powers must act together because if we aren't at the table, we are on the menu. Carney said.
Yeah. So he basically wrote the speech himself. Yeah. I mean, if you saw the speech, it's, I mean, if anyone hasn't watched, I think it's definitely worth watching. Just not even about just what he said, but just as a speech, writer and presenter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see this guy is so well refined. I mean, but to be fair, like, what was he? A central banker for Canada and the UK. I mean, that's a
the first
pretty
non-Brit.
The first non-Brit to be that's a good point. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Ran the Bank of England for quite a while.
Yeah. So I mean, it was a great speech. I think that it was quite telling, and I think in terms of where we are at right now in the state of the global geopolitics and world order, he said the quiet part out loud. It's like, for many years there had been this illusion of security based on US hegemony. And that has now ended, and it's just a realistic take. And I think he said before that we take the world for what it is, not what we want it to be, which is a very pragmatic and statesman-like approach to it. And he's done quite well. I think he's become very popular now in Canada, which is crazy because he was voted in, and not too many people were excited about him because the Liberals, had won.
Before Trump started up. Canada was due an election because Justin Trudeau was unbelievably unpopular, and everyone assumed that Pierre Poilievre, the Conservative candidate, was going to win. And then sort of Trump piped up with his tariff stuff, and the Liberals won at a clip, I think. So it was a fairly extraordinary turnaround.
Yeah, it was, no doubt, and was it like 80%? I think, it was 80-20 in terms of just before Trump started. And then obviously Trudeau dropped out, then Carney stepped in. So, anyways, it was just a great speech. I think people should check it out. But then, of course, after that, the big man came and gave his speech, right, the day after.
Yes, let me just bring this up here. This is DL News reporting on it. Just close the pop up there. Yes, Trump mentions importance of Bitcoin and crypto legislation at Davos in rambling speech. So I think he may have. Well, I don't know. Does Trump write his speeches, or does someone else write them and then he just refuses to read them?
I think it just goes off the cuff, to be honest.
I think that the best description I've heard about it is 1 hour of a stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
that's just what it is, man. It's literally what it is.
That must be one of the most thankless tasks in all of politics, isn't it? Trump speechwriter. You've got to spend the time to write it all out properly, and then he goes, "Yep, great, thank you very much."
I got the cliffhangers. Cool. Let's go on a tangent around Denmark. No, actually, Iceland. Iceland was mentioned a few times. Accidentally.
Okay.
Did you hear that? He accidentally mentioned Iceland instead of Greenland. And you have all the people, the Icelandic delegation sitting over there thinking, God, are we now a target as well?
Does he mean us?
Jeez.
I love the idea that there are all these sort of nations just on standby, just waiting to scramble their military in case Trump goes in. And another thing, what about Finland? We haven't talked about them, the Finns. Just sets it off. Maybe he's just doing it for his own amusement. But yes, so he spoke at the WEF forum in Davos, and he did talk about crypto. He spoke about the importance of US crypto legislation, as you can see there. He mentioned China, which was a bit odd. I mean, well, I suppose not all that odd, seeing as he does have a bit of an obsession with China. But his sort of line on that was well, if we don't do crypto legislation, then China is going to get ahead and, is going to outflank us on this, which is, it's kind of hard to believe, seeing as China's gone very much down the digital yuan, the CBDC route, and has lots of reasons why it wouldn't really be interested in crypto. I mean, it's one of these odd, it's one of these ironies, isn't it? Because like so many of the people like in crypto very early on were Chinese. There was a big Chinese crypto community at the start. A lot of early Bitcoiners were Chinese. A lot of
almost all the Bitcoin miners.
Yeah. And still are, apparently, which is kind of wild, considering it's not technically allowed.
And it's been banned 50 times.
Yeah. So China has this
like
kind of weird relationship with crypto. And obviously, for the Chinese authorities, the big worry, I think, is capital flight. They've got very strict capital controls. They don't want people moving yuan offshore via crypto. So it's kind of odd that Trump would sort of be obsessing over crypto legislation through the lens of China. But nevertheless, that's what he was kind of getting at. And other people pointing out, of course, that actually him and his family have made quite a lot of money from crypto over the last year or so. So, maybe that's got something to do with it as well.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it comes at a time, obviously, when the Clarity Act is facing a lot of difficulty. We talked about this on the stream on Monday. So, yeah, he mentioned it. But even though it's crazy to think as well, that the US president is at the World Economic Forum talking about cryptocurrency and how he wants to make the US the crypto capital of the world and how important it is to have crypto legislation. And you look at the price chart and it not even a blip, which makes you wonder. It's like crazy what we've been through the past 2 years. But if you told us that would have happened 2 years ago, like, oh, wow. I mean, but no, markets are just dead inside. The market is just dead.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I mean, there is really interesting stuff. I just want to bring up another headline here. This one is one from Cointelegraph that I want to share with you guys. So this was discussed as well. So not only did we have Trump talking about the importance of crypto legislation, and admittedly a lot else besides, a lot of it nothing to do with crypto, obviously, but we've also got some fairly big crypto names at Davos. They've been at Davos. Jeremy Allaire, the CEO of Circle. We've just actually done a review of Circle for our Coin Bureau Club members. That's coming out today, or just come out. That was a really, really interesting one, actually. Circle is doing some interesting stuff. But yeah, Jeremy Allaire says, obviously, he's out there talking up stablecoins, as are many other people. But I think it's particularly interesting that he's talking about it from the perspective of AI, because this is something, I think this is a huge shift that's going on at the moment. AI agents, stablecoins, crypto rails are going to be the way that these agents transact. It's the natural way for them to work online. And I mean, I haven't seen billions of AI agents suggested within 5 years, but I mean, definitely this is a sector that is growing exponentially, and already an enormous amount of web traffic is actually AI agents and bots as it is. So, yeah, I mean, this is another potentially huge growth vector, and yet, as you say, Nick, it doesn't seem to be moving the market.
It doesn't, yeah. Definitely, I think that that is one of the most important potential use cases for crypto is autonomous agents. And I think this is the X402 protocol standard that was recently released last year, and there are big developments in the space. But yeah, I think that markets, unfortunately, that's just slid. It fell through the cracks at the WEF, which is unfortunate because it is an important announcement, right? And I think that there's quite a few others as well. I think on top of that, Brian Armstrong was there as well.
Yes, he was having arguments with French bankers. Let me bring the article up. Whilst I'm doing that, you guys talk.
The cool thing about what the AI agents and things like that is that at least it is showing that there are fundamental things that are happening, and that people are building stuff that will be integrated, with crypto. So because, for the past few years, it's just been like, what is crypto? Like meme coins and useless stuff, right? But when you see stuff like that, it's like, no, there is an underlying like incredible thing being built with crypto that will, utilize blockchain and will utilize and will be a part of, everyone's lives in the future. Like, even though it's not reflected in the price, at least, there's something that's saying like, look, this is real, and like people are building it, and it's going to eventually come, so a little,
glad to see there's still building going on. Still some out there in the trenches, despite the market conditions, still building out exciting tech, and that's what we need. We need those builders.
Well, one thing I've said to people a lot over the last few years, especially when kind of non-crypto friends of mine have asked me about it, and they're like, what's crypto being used for, or are we ever going to be using it? And my answer to them is usually something along the lines of, it's like, well, you will find yourself using it, but you probably won't be aware. Like it will become another tab in an app that you use, and you'll find yourself sending a stablecoin payment to someone without ever really being all that aware that you're sending stablecoins, or that you're using a blockchain in order to do it. Because these apps and platforms will abstract this all away, which is so important for crypto adoption, because nobody wants, or no normal person, and I don't include any of us three in the normal person category, but no normal person wants to be interacting with crypto wallets and having to bother with signing transactions and doing all of this complicated stuff and remembering seed phrases. Like, they're not interested in that, but they are interested in things that work and being able to do stuff at the click of a button. And that is the way that we're going. And I think, the AI angle only adds an extra dimension to that. It's going to be like, not only are you not aware, are you going to be transacting with crypto and not aware of it, but it's going to be one further remove. Your AI agent personal assistant is going to be transacting with crypto on your behalf, and you're not even going to be aware of it. So it's going to be at two removes, which I think is, for a lot of people, probably the minimum that they want they want crypto to be at, at least some way removed from them. But that is all quite, that's exciting from the perspective of mass adoption and from the perspective of crypto playing a role in the world. But it's not exciting from what people remember from a few years ago. It's actually quite boring. But the boring angle is where the success lies.
Yeah, ultimately, that's true, man.
Yeah. So I guess crypto is going to become, is just going to get more and more. The more it's used, the more and the more fundamental it becomes, the more boring it's also going to become as well. So I don't know. Like I kind of feel, given that we're in the game of talking about crypto and trying to share with people all the things that we find interesting about that, that's probably really bad news for us, isn't it? Because
that's why we're gonna switch to the metals show.
Exactly.
Metals and
that's
trolls.
Why
Metals Bureau.
To just
the Bullion Bureau. The Bullion Bureau. What else?
Bullion Bureau. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just coin.
Come back to coin. Yeah. Coming back to the tokenization thing I mentioned earlier. So Binance co-founder CZ was also at the Davos on a panel, and talking about the fact that so many governments are in touch with him to look at tokenizing assets, at least a dozen of asset tokenization. So this is, again, I think another strong narrative for this year is going to be real world asset tokenization. And, the amount of governments, especially, because you can think about putting these assets on chain, sovereign assets. And I think some governments have tried that in the past, but yeah, it's actually definitely a narrative we need to be watching this year.
Yeah, and he's also talking about AI. Oh no, we mentioned that earlier, isn't it? But AI agents and tokenization, and as you guys were saying, as you were saying, Lewis, like we're already seeing this, aren't we? We can already access a lot of these assets. Some of it's just perps contracts and stuff like that, but before long, all our crypto and stocks are going to be in one place and interchangeable.
Yeah,
I'm waiting
exactly.
on that.
Question though, in terms of like, I suppose many people are looking at this, and the pessimistic view is that, well, what does this mean for people wanting to buy altcoins, right? If you can invest in stocks on the blockchain, and now I think the NYSE is also going to release. Was it NASDAQ? I think it was ICE, Intercontinental Exchange, is going to have 24/7 trading of crypto and tokenized assets on a traditional financial exchange. So some people may say, well, what does this mean? Does this mean that it negates the need for diving into altcoins to get returns? If you can go and speculate on a futures contract of, pre-IPO SpaceX stock or something like that, there is merit to that argument. But I still think that there is so much that can be done with real-world tokenization that we can't just view it through that myopic lens in terms of our portfolios.
I think a lot of it comes down to liquidity, doesn't it? The idea that that people are sitting, and I know this is something that's being discussed in places like Europe, and some of it's quite scary, in terms of like the EU wants to get its hands on people's savings and things like this, and then you've also got places like China where they've got trillions in household savings, and the Chinese government is desperate for people to spend this money. But because economic conditions have been so difficult across the world, people aren't spending. But you do kind of feel that maybe tokenization is a way to kind of unlock that, because you don't want to you do want people to have the freedom to save and to accumulate wealth in that traditional way. But you kind of feel it's like, if you can open up other avenues of liquidity for people, like if there's a way for people to speculate more in real estate, say, and get a return, like maybe if you own a share of an apartment block or a share of some commercial real estate and can get a dividend like income from that derives from the rent of that, then that is potentially a way of unlocking like literally trillions of dollars in capital. And that can not only give people other ways to invest in in assets that they can't at the moment, but it also means unlocking capital for things like infrastructure projects as well, doesn't it? Because there's virtually no government apart from maybe China. There's virtually no government that has the liquidity, has the funds to sort of build all the infrastructure that they need to build in order to make people's lives better. So you sort of think, well, if you can unlock people's savings and give people the opportunity to invest in infrastructure, that could be huge.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Glass half full. That's good, man.
Yeah,
I'm surprised like that hasn't actually happened yet. I've sort of been waiting for that, like fractionalized real estate. Like imagine if you're a developer or something, and it's like you buy these like a plot of land, and then it's like you crowdsource the funds from everyone, and if it's like attached, their name and their email and everything and information is attached to like the on their blockchain, then doesn't need to be like a minimum like $100,000 or whatever, like minimum $50,000. It could be like $1,000 or something minimum, and then they could probably just like and then they could literally just like see the exact amount percentage wise that was invested by each person, and then whenever the money comes in, it could automatically, very easily, programmatically, just put into exact percentages to divvy out to everyone who invested. And it could be thousands of people even, instead of the way that we do it now. And then that would probably open up a lot of capital, and so that they'd be able to build more, and then just like rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. I think when that does become a thing, the first movers on that are going to make so much money.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is why the likes of BlackRock and so many others are getting excited about tokenization, aren't they? Because it's there is just so much potential, and I guess a lot of it is just legislation, regulation, etc. needs to catch up with it. But yeah, as you say, Lewis, like there is this, we have got this system whereby ownership, can be proved beyond doubt. That's always been the great thing about the blockchain, isn't it? There's no faking it. If you own something on the blockchain, then you can prove that you own it, and that is, possession is 9/10 of the law.
I remember I made a video like 8 years ago about voting and putting, people's voting records on the blockchain. And it's like, why hasn't that happened? It's like there's definitely elites or people or whatever systems that like don't want certain things to be known because there's so much fraud that like if it was like checked all the boxes and crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, then all of it would be revealed, and then they'd be like, oh, whoops, hand in the cookie jar, So we have the technology now, though, but I think the people in charge are just a little hesitant to deploy it.
Yeah.
Should we take a look at comments, guys?
Yes. Let me go back to this question that I wanted to ask you, Nick. You and I were talking about this briefly the other day, and I know was it Charles Edwards you said you'd spoken to for the podcast. All the fuzz, I guess that means fuss, about quantum computing makes people go to gold and silver. I think this is an interesting point, isn't it? Because there is a lot of FUD around at the moment about quantum, and you can find a different opinion from everyone on it. But I mean, what do you guys think? Is the quantum thing holding Bitcoin back? The idea that at some point there is going to be a quantum computer that can break Bitcoin's encryption, or is this are we just kind of losing our minds over this for no reason?
I mean, in that conversation, and it's coming out hopefully tomorrow, it was quite enlightening in terms of it's easy enough to be blasé and dismiss it from a high level. It's only 10 years away. Oh, this, that, and the other. But it's actually not only 10 years away. And if you dive into the real nitty gritty of it and the growth rates at which they are getting these machines to actually run computations and everything, and how quickly it's moving, and it's not linear, it's exponential, right? And he said that, and there was also a bank, I think it was Jeffries, who came out recently, and they said that they recommend cutting allocation to Bitcoin based on this risk. So it's not just some sort of a offhand like idea that you're going to have quantum. It's like banks are actually advising clients to think about allocations. And the way Charles put it, I think quote was like, there's a 20% chance of Bitcoin going to zero in 10 years time. With those chances, right, according to him, why would you invest in Bitcoin when you can have gold, which can't be quantum attacked? And I think part of it also is the fact that we need to move now, this year. So strides need to be made in making Bitcoin quantum resistant to actually make headway, because after that it becomes a bit too late in terms of the speed with which this is happening. So he said like Q-Day, which is the day at which quantum can actually crack RSA encryption. RSA encryption is the one that's used with all the banking protocols. But elliptic curve cryptography, which is the Bitcoin, is actually easier to crack than RSA, apparently. So, I mean, in 2 to 3 years' time, if there's nothing's done about it, it could be a big risk. Although the good news is, people are taking notice. Lots of people, there are BIPs being proposed that could try and ward off this threat. So that's to look out for. But yeah, it's not just. At first, I was also dismissing it to a degree because it's kind of like they've been talking about the quantum threat for years. But if you got some percentage, if it is a 20 to 30% chance you get to Q-Day in the next 5 to 10 years, that is a big risk.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it's crazy about the speed too, because I've heard this, don't quote me on this, but like this is what I believe I heard a couple of months ago, is that we actually started to break Moore's law in how fast things are accelerating, like for the first time ever. So I mean, if it's accelerating that fast now, then the time is really of the essence, and Bitcoin needs to do something. Otherwise, like, it's going to be broken. But the other side of the argument that I heard about that was that if someone who has the capability to break Bitcoin, who also would do it, decides to do it, they have the most likely the capability to break a heck of a lot more stuff, and a lot of the world will probably be like in anarchy.
That's a fair argument, and that's something that many people make. But bear in mind that if you're a bank, JP Morgan, and you're worried about the quantum threat, you can pretty easily upgrade your stack, right? It's all internal systems, right? Bitcoin, which is a permissionless, decentralized ledger, right? It's not an easy thing to upgrade. We've seen that for many years, right? So, and you have to get consensus among not just the developer community, but also the nodes, the miners, and in terms of the upgrading and all of that. So it's a lot easier for a bank to upgrade a few of its, security protocols and encryptions than it is for Bitcoin developers to come to an agreement as to what needs to be done. I think it's also the fact, the nature of being decentralized network, right, with a decentralized developer community, and some developers don't view it as much of a risk as others. So there's a lot of ostrich head in sand, reaction from many of the devs, but it is a concern people should be taking notice of.
Yeah.
I think you have a conversation coming out.
It's coming out tomorrow. Yeah.
Sweet.
That'll be an interesting one. I'm looking forward to that. I mean, there are two things that come to mind, because I think the first is that, when it comes to quantum capabilities, every headline that comes out, Google unveils a new chip that's X number of times powerful than the last one, and then someone else comes out with another chip or whatever. I kind of always assume that probably they're actually a lot further along the line than we might assume that they are. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe maybe China is actually a lot closer to a fully functioning quantum machine than they're willing to let on. Because this is essentially like a weapon, isn't it? A quantum computer is a very powerful weapon. So you probably don't want to give away just how far along the track you are. So I guess, for those people who are sort of saying, oh, well, Q Day is still a long time away. It's like, yes, but we're probably not party to, a lot of information regarding that, Yeah. They could well be further along the road than we know. So I guess that's worth bearing in mind. I think with Bitcoin as well, is it not like, I mean, I think it's possible now to move your coins to a quantum proof address. The problem is all the the lost coins, Satoshi's coins, or whatever, the million plus BTC that are out there that nobody knows, or nobody knows who controls them. And so I think the worry is, isn't it, that if a quantum machine comes along, they aren't moved to quantum proof wallets, and therefore an attacker could take them. And obviously, market dumping a million BTC is probably going to send the price down, to say nothing of the shaking faith in the tech, etc.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, still, as if we didn't have another thing to worry about.
Well, it's a bit, I mean, as Lewis says, so many other things would be affected. It feels like it's a bit unfair that, Bitcoin should be Bitcoin and crypto should be catching all the FUD from quantum. It's like, guys, if quantum machine comes along, we're all screwed, whether you're in crypto or not.
It's true, but also the fact that we talk about it, and the more airtime it gets, the developers some developers are being proactive about it, right? The last thing you want to do is a situation where you just completely dismiss it, and then you wake up in 3 years' time and you discover, oh wow, there's Q Day, and well, now we're screwed. So rather take steps right now, short-term pain, long-term gain.
Yeah. Get it done so we can all FUD Bitcoin from some other angle, so we can get worried about something else. This is crypto. We'll find something else to panic about.
Something to complain about.
Easy.
Always, misery loves company. We suckers for pain.
Exactly. But yeah, I do kind of agree with that comment. I do think probably Bitcoin is catching a bit of the quantum FUD, and people are like, oh well, quantum computer's not going to crack gold anytime soon. Quantum computer can't come and get my gold bars out of my safe. So, yeah, true.
You could also invest into quantum stocks, hedge your bets a little bit.
Yeah.
That is true. True.
Look, tokenized quantum stocks are coming, so we can all hedge our BTC with those. Job done.
perfect solution.
Hedge Bitcoin going to zero. Lovely. We started the stream looking at Bitcoin's price, and now we ended the stream talking about ways to hedge it going to zero. Lovely. If anything, but well-rounded.
Hey, look, it's called FUD and FOMO for a reason, isn't it? I think we got the FOMO out the way early, and now we finish on the FUD. We just got it the wrong way around.
We need the meme of that one guy. Zero. It's going to zero.
Dan, but what's his name? Oh God, yeah, what a legend.
Yeah, Dan something. Ridiculous guy.
Brett seems to think the wallets are safe. Trump will just steal the lost coins, and it'll just be another Greenland thing all over again. Maybe he's right. Who knows?
Honestly, I'd be happy if that happens and then it gets put into the Bitcoin strategic reserve. I'd be fine. I'd be cool with that. I'd be better than that than Lazarus.
Guys, if we really want our bags to be pumped, we just need to convince Trump that that Bitcoin is digital Greenland, right? And he can purchase it. And there we go. Finally, puts it into the strategic reserve and it'll pump our bags, man. $700 billion that would require the cost of Greenland, you can pump into Bitcoin. Let's go.
There is a theory doing the rounds. I wish I had the article to hand, but there was an article in the British press in the Spectator magazine a few days ago saying that some people believe that maybe part of the reason why Trump wants Greenland is to establish Bitcoin mining operations there.
That has to be it. Yep, that's 100. Totally. Why didn't I think of that?
I mean, yeah, there's no other places in the world that have cold climates and geothermal energy. It has to be Greenland. Yes, this big landmass that happens to be.
Exactly. He's also eyeing up Iceland. You know, that's why it wasn't a slip of the tongue. He's got his eye on all these cold places with geothermal power, and it's all for Bitcoin. So there we are. There's the FOMO to end on. Okay, guys, I think we've taken up enough of people's Friday evenings or Friday mornings, depending on where you are. So thank you for that. And Lewis, we'll see you on the Monday stream with your TA, and Nick, I'll see you on the Monday stream in the studio, right?
Yeah. Enjoy, guys. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yep. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. We will be back with another episode of FUD and FOMO, not next Friday, but the Friday after. But let us know if you enjoyed it. And we will keep these coming. So have a great weekend, everyone, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.